I often like to think of ghosts as not necessarily a spook or a specter that lingers in your house that's gonna jump out of the walls or get you in your dreams like Freddy Krueger. No, I tend to think of ghosts more so as a reminder of the past, not necessarily the past itself. I I see it more as what everybody has. Everyone's got them. Now, a ghost doesn't necessarily have to have a malicious meaning behind it. It doesn't have to remind you of sorrow or I mean it can and it certainly does, but I believe that ghosts are just something that we have that follow us everywhere. Something from your past or a reminder of what once was. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's actually anything there. It doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't. Really it boils down to the individual. People will often say, oh, they don't believe in ghosts and but yet they still, no matter how strong one may be, there's still a fear of the past in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're strong. It doesn't mean any of that. A ghost is a reminder of what once was. It could be something horrible. It could be an atrocity that left its I mean, I don't want to say energy because that makes me feel like some kind of ooh, crazy psychic Wicca person, blah blah. No, like I I feel like, for instance, if you go somewhere, it could be a historical location, landmark that something bad has happened in, you still feel it. Now, that doesn't mean that there's anything actually there. I mean, objectively, you're just looking at, four walls and a door. Assuming that we're talking about somewhere inside. But you feel the ghosts. If something bad happened, if a lot of horrible things happened to either a bunch of people or one person, like you walk into it and immediately you're reminded of the past. You're not seeing an apparition. You're not feeling an apparition. You're experiencing the past in full force. And that applies on a micro and a macro level. That, for instance, if you're reminded of something from your past, whether it be a good memory or something traumatic, you feel the ghosts lingering. It can almost feel tangible. It can feel like there is something there in the room with you. And obviously I'm just speaking philosophically here. As far as anything metaphysically, I don't know. I'm no one to say that the paranormal is real or not, because there's evidence both ways. But I am here simply speaking through experience. Of course, I've had things scare the crap out of me in different places, but I also feel like that is simply the past leaving its mark on you. Like you go somewhere where something horrible happened, you feel horrible. You go somewhere where maybe something wonderful happened and you feel wonderful. Example A, if you're about as old as I am, or older, like this isn't a thing about age necessarily, but I've moved from house to house and place to place, but going back to, like, physically walking back to one of my old houses and seeing it, you're reminded of all of the ghosts of your past. You can feel it. Your memories come flooding back, old emotions, old thoughts, and it just swarms over you. Almost every single sense you have goes right back to that moment in time. No matter how long ago it was, you can't escape it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something worth escaping. It could be a fantastic feeling. For instance, when I look back at my first apartment with my family, when I was just a little kid, I I feel a lot of things. One, primarily I feel happy because it reminds me of a time when I felt so comfortable and secure, and I I feel I feel the ghosts from the time, and it's not scary. It doesn't bother me. It just reminds me of comfort. It's it's a warm feeling. It's not a cold and hollow one. It's not gonna get me. It's not gonna haunt my dreams and try to slash me, you know? But and then, for instance, my other apartment, the one that I lived at for the longest before I live where I do now, because I was there for so long, almost 2 decades, I I feel everything when I walk by it. I feel comfort, I feel sorrow, I feel anxiety, I feel joy, I feel nostalgic. It it just brings forward so many experiences, and I I can feel the ghosts of the building that I left there, that we left there. And who knows? Maybe our emotions and thoughts do manifest themselves into the walls of where we stay. Maybe there is a force of nature that we just don't understand yet, where it all comes from. I'll never know. I don't think anyone ever will, at least not during this lifetime. But I also see it as a reminder of the fact that nothing is permanent. You reflect on these feelings, these thoughts, these emotions from a time long past, and it should serve as a reminder, for the better, for the worse. It all passes. Things that I used to feel so anxious and depressed about and borderline psychotic over, it's all gone. It all ends. And that doesn't have to be a scary thing. It may seem scary because immediately you're like, oh, well, everything that's in front of me right now is also temporary. Oh, goodness. And it is. And that can be upsetting. It can be sad. But you always find new footing. Everything happens so slowly. It's like life is a river. A nice, calming creek. And every experience that we have It's just like dropping a little pebble in the water. And it'll go with the current for a while, but eventually it sinks to the ground. But then you throw a new pebble in, and a new one, and a new one. And then you can go back and look at all of the imprints that you left in the water, and you did that. You did that. That's your time in eternity. You have the entire world at your fingertips. You can do anything and be anything. And you leave your ghosts with you, as well as everyone else leaves theirs. You know, that's why when you go to an old spooky house, or, a quote-unquote haunted location, you may not necessarily see anything. Doesn't mean that there's going to be moving chairs or lights flickering and a full body apparition manifesting in front of you to scare your pants off. It just means that other people have left their imprints, and you're feeling what they left behind. It's time itself manifesting itself in your head and in your five senses. Now, obviously, you don't have to agree with that. I could be 100% wrong. I'm just, again, speaking through my own perspective. Things that I've gone through and been through and have led myself up to this point in time. That's just my takeaway. Maybe you have seen a full body apparition. Maybe you've seen the ghost of King Louis XIV and his massive calf muscles and big fezziwig. And if you have, then you know what? Good for you. I would like to see that someday as well. But alas, I have not seen the ghost of King Louis XIV. But I have been to many places where the old emotions, or the old, I guess you could say, hostile feelings, or benevolent feelings are dripping through the walls. And I find it, again, calming and soothing. It's just a reminder that nothing's forever. Nothing's forever at all, no matter what is going on. The worst things in human history, the worst things that anybody could ever go through, have all passed. And these haunted houses, these old mansions or old museums of atrocities long past, just serve as a simple reminder that you can get through anything. And you will get through anything. And it is these ghosts that tie us all together. I wish you all well. I hope someday you can all find peace with your ghosts. And until next time, this is your girl signing off. Take care and don't get too spooked out. But I love you all. Au revoir and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.